Hi everyone, Stijn from Collibra, one of the co-founders of the company that's now 16 years ago, 2008. And currently I run Collibra's data office. So I'm responsible for our data strategy, data products and data infrastructure. And we call that the chief data citizen at Collibra to remind the people that the hearts and minds of all data citizens are what must be won by data leaders. Now you know these stats probably better than me, so I won't dwell on them, but there's a lot more data. Data is getting more complex, and there are more tools than ever to deal with data, to move data, to store data, and so on and so forth. So I would argue that the landscape of data is fragmenting even more into complexity. And a big driver for the curation and taking care of the data assets these days is AI. I mean, every presentation, every conversation, every banner, every booth has the words AI on them, right? And that disruption has been happening since about 18 months when GPT came to market, Skynet came alive, if you will. And to understand that a little bit why that is happening now, you have to look at the order of magnitude problem, right? It used to be that only the data scientists were the masters of AI, like there's 5 million maybe good ones in the world. But now with GPT, it's just an API call away. So all of a sudden you go from 5 million data scientists who are always a little bit diva-like, oh, I need data or I can't train my model. You're going to 500 million and more developers who can all do AI. So that's the reason why we're seeing this shift. And for your organizations, noisy. For your organizations, this is the problem, right? So the technology is exciting, there's a lot of opportunity, but the lawyers in your companies are saying, no, you can't use this, we're scared, don't touch it. You can't even buy a third-party tool that does it. So the key with this new AI wave, which is not stopping, I know there's a lot of skeptics out there, but the investments in AI are still rising, right? So this trend is not stopping. The next 5 years, we are going to see a lot more change and work through AI. So your organization needs to get ready, and you need to make sure that you apply the right controls, the right guardrails, that you can actually put this AI beast in production without face-palming, embarrassing moments for your CEOs. So I'm very happy to introduce Fede from Vodafone, who will tell you how they've done that at Vodafone. Thank you very much, Fede.
Thank you very much, Stan. Give it up for Stan, people. Thank you. Thank you very much. What a legend. Oh my God, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very, very much for coming, for taking the time here at Big Data London. This is my debut at the conference, so I'm very, very excited. My name is Fede Frumento. Is he Italian? He sounds Italian. I'm not Italian. I'm actually from Argentina, originally. I've been living in the UK for the last almost 6 years, and for the better part of that, I've been having the honor to work at Vodafone Group as a senior data governance manager. Now, what could that mean? That means that I have the responsibility, the honor, to drive the adoption of the data governance policy across the entire 90,000 employee organization. Good luck, Fede. I do this by enabling a community of very skilled, very highly professional data governance managers that we have placed across the entire organization. So I give them frameworks, I train them, I enable them, I create this sort of sense of community. I help them when they get stuck. From time to time, I give them a shoulder to cry on. In other words, I am not a data governance manager myself anymore. I've been one for many, many years. What I am now is a data governance manager's therapist. And I love my job. It's really, really exciting because it lets me learn about pretty much anything that's going on in the entire organization. And that's part of what I'm here to tell you today. I want to tell you a story. And like the stories that I like the most, I'm going to start at the very end. And then I'm going to jump at the beginning and we can climb the mountain together. So this is the end of the story. Vodafone this year is very proudly releasing its first GenAI solution at scale. And when I say at scale, I mean to millions and millions of customers every week that start to get this service. Now, this solution is called Super Toby. If you guys have worked with us in the past, you will be familiar with Toby, which is our digital customer service agent. This year, we are supercharging Toby with the power of GenAI. We are using it to give better answers to our customers and also to help those human service agents in the background to get a more rounded view of the customer situation. The reason why we chose Super Toby as our flagship GenAI solution for this year is because Vodafone's priorities sit with customers, simplicity, and growth. And since last year, we have been kind of living this new vision that we want to become the digital and connectivity champion, earning customers' trust every day. So you can see that the topic of the customer is very much at the front of what we do. And that's kind of why we chose this one. There's a lot of information about Super Toby that you can find online that we have published in Vodafone News. I am not here today to tell you everything about how Super Toby works or let's say how we are using it. You can find a lot of information for that online. What I'm here to tell you is this story about how we got here with a very strong foundation on data governance. So now let's jump to the beginning of that story. And I would like you to think about the start of your own stories. Even if you can, when was the first time that you even heard the term data governance, or when you started working in a data governance role? My bet would be that it happened, if it happened in the last 20 years, it happened somewhere one of these events. I think that these are the main waves of data governance, trends, changes in the data management environment that led people to believe that having a data governance framework or a standard or a policy was not such a bad idea after all. Let's just take the first one as an example, right? If we remember back in the mid-2000s when these amazing, colorful, animated BI self-serving tools came knocking on our doors, all of our executives bought into the idea, only then to realize that the poor quality, incomplete, inconsistent data sitting beneath could never live up to the expectations of those amazing tech demos that they saw in the sales pitch. Therefore, get me a data governance manager now to make this thing work. And not too different are the stories of big data analysis or the acceleration of cloud migrations in the mid-2010s. And with the popularity that GDPR has won over the last 5 to 7 years, I have seen it become pretty much the trend that whenever we talk about good data management, we say it in the space of kind of regulatory or compliance topics. But this is what really, really excites me about the current gold rush on GenAI that we're living, because for the first time in many years, we have a carrot. We have a proper carrot that we can use to get people excited about data. If you are a data governance manager yourself, all of us know the challenges, the difficulties of making the business case for data governance, to get people excited to invest on data governance. We tried it first via the operational efficiency route, but it's just too boring. No one cares to see how having the air conditioning on, pound by pound, leads to better sales. That is just too convoluted to explain why data management is a sort of sunk cost under the promises of all of us being able to finally do our jobs. So we try this, and this doesn't really work. And in the best case scenario, it gets treated like that, like an operational sort of obstacle that needs to be sorted so that we can do something else. So this doesn't really kind of create a cultural change in the organization. And when that happens, we turn into the stick approach, especially fueled by GDPR in the last few years. We realized that it was much easier to get people's attention with, sorry, just one sec. Have to do another one of these. A stranger asks you for option C, please. Thank you. I don't know if you've been there. We realized that it was so much easier to get people's attention by scaring them, right? With fines or reputational damage. In the best Christopher Lee voice that we can muster, something like, if you don't have data owners, you shall be cursed with a fine of up to 20 million euro, or 4% of your global annual turnover, whichever is greater. and hope that makes a difference, a change. Sure. The stick approach works great to get people's attention, but it does very little to produce a long-lasting effect in the organization. Because then the conversation very quickly turns into a sort of risk management balancing act to try to figure out how little data governance can I get away with doing, which will in turn give me the biggest reduction in the chances of getting a GDPR fine. This doesn't work. This can never drive cultural change in the organization. This can never really be a proper transformation. It doesn't produce a long-lasting effect. In short, the stick does not stick. Right? And if you like that one, we are actually selling the stick doesn't stick t-shirts down at the... No, I'm joking. Where are we? Yeah, but GDPR did make us all a very big favor because it managed to do in just 5 years what we had been trying to do and honestly failing for the past 15, which is to raise awareness about data management to stratospheric levels. Think about it, 20 years ago, honestly, how many of us were really thinking, oh, I hope I have the customer's consent to process their data in this particular way by the means and the purposes of it? No. We were throwing numbers at the colorful animated dashboards and praying that the answer would make any sense. Fast forward to last weekend, when I took a picture of my childhood home and sent it to Dali to get it into the style of Van Gogh. Look at that. And I sent it to my mom, her being a retired primary school teacher. And her first reaction was, what about the legal and ethical implications of effectively stealing the style of an artist? But who are you? A victim of GDPR, that's who she is. Like all of us, but that's good. Again, that's a good thing. Because, as I was saying, we finally have a carrot. The excitement for the great, amazing, borderline magical things that we can do with good data now can bring the attention back into achieving these things. And this time we can be prepared. It's much easier to draw a straight line between good data quality and a non-hallucinating GenAI solution. This we can work with. Data governance can now become another item in the list of things that need to happen for that to succeed. Notice the polar opposite change in the approach, that from how little data governance can I get away with doing to how much can I possibly do so that this gives me that precious return on investment that everyone is after. And you might say, yeah, sure, that's the same that happened 20 years ago with the animated dashboards. But today, unlike 20 years ago, now everyone and their moms also knows about the challenges, the difficulties, the risks of doing data management without governance. That's the key thing. That's the message I wanted to land with you today. Question. Fede, I loved your presentation. You're a seasoned professional and nothing short of a comedy mastermind. But I am leaving this room today with 0 clues on what to do next. Fair point. Thank you for asking that. This is what we're doing at Vodafone, and it seems to be working. Go find your friends fighting the good fight at the data privacy teams. Go find your friends holding the fort in the cybersecurity, information security teams. They want the same as you. They want data to be owned. They want data to be cataloged. They want data to be trusted by people to make decisions and to drive the company forward. I can promise you that you will not see eye to eye first. What you want to call a data steward, they will want to call something else. It may seem to you that while you are trying to innovate, they are trying to hold you back. Put yourself in their shoes. Negotiate. Find middle grounds. Heck, rewrite the entire data governance framework to make them feel represented, if needed. It's never too late to rewrite your data governance framework. The day that standard gets set in stone is the day you no longer have a job. Sometimes people complain to me about the fact that we don't have, like an official ISO level standard on data governance that everyone can look up to and be the same. Use that to your advantage. If you get better business engagement by changing the name of the data owner to data avenger, go for it. Who cares? as long as they enact their responsibilities, that's the important thing. Bottom line. Use the combined strength of all the people in your company who are trying to make data management better, whatever that may mean to them. Draw the straight line between good data management and the success of that AI solution that your company is looking for scale. And on a personal note, buckle your seatbelts and get ready for the new wave of data governance. Thank you very much.
Hey, Fede, thank you.
Thank you, Stan.
So we're just going to close up with some quick questions. I'm going to start off asking the questions, giving all of you the time to think of questions of your own. It'll only be a couple of minutes, so be ready to get a question out. But Fede, thanks. Lovely presentation.
Thank you.
Loved the theater also, the drama, and the data Avengers too. So there's clearly a lot more interest in data these days. Do you see the same interests carry over to data governance, which is often seen as a bad word?
Yeah. I think that's a bit the key, right? I still see a lot of an uphill battle when we talk about data governance. I think many of us in whatever sort of second line team we can think about, like the privacy or the cybersecurity or even data governance teams kind of trying to control how people manage data, we have all bought into the idea. People like it, people believe in it, but it's really hard to get the people in the business areas really excited about it. But I think as people get more and more excited about what we can do with data, then that needs to kind of land as well. That's the message I see.
That's promising.
Yeah.
Because, as you know, Collibra has been doing data governance for a while, but that word has always felt loaded. And what we see and believe is with AI, it is getting more sexy again. So let's talk about the AI bit. We came out with an AI governance solution in the belief that this is collaborative. Data officers, security, privacy, you mentioned, but also technical people and business teams, they need to collaborate. Is also what you see, that collaboration at Vodafone between different teams?
Absolutely, yeah. That's kind of the new thing that I see happening, at least within the Vodafone space, and what I was trying to kind of lay out today. We are trying to bring together, as much as we can, anyone working on making data management better. Collaboration between privacy, cyber, data governance, even sometimes corporate security, the guys, kind of looking after maybe lost equipment and stuff like that. We have the banner within Vodafone where we have used this or kind of made this possible is the idea of data management risk. So thinking about the risks of doing data management, things like data breaches or misuse of data, but that can also count on not being able to use data for your business purposes or missing business opportunities because of not using data properly. Now, you may come across the concept of data management risk or data risk. Myself, I think that it's often called data risk. I feel that data risk is not right because data is just there. Data is innocent. That's what I would say. The data has not it's not culprit of just being risky on its own. It's when we manage data, when we use it, that's when risks appear. And I think managing that, we have an avenue to start doing things better.
Yeah, no, 100% data is innocent.
Yeah.
It's when you copy it all over, each of those places is a vector of being stolen, of course, so the risk sits there.
Yeah.
Thank you. So next one, you also mentioned privacy, GDPR, how that shook people awake as a stick. What I saw with GDPR was that indeed people tried to do the minimum, just a checkbox on their website, and that a lot of the GDPR initiatives were handled by privacy, but they didn't necessarily fully carry over into the actual data operations. So do you see the same risk happening now with AI and the EU AI Act, that we're just checking a compliance box and not carrying it over?
I think it had happened, especially at the beginning when we are still, we now have the EU AI Act. It's been signed. It's not yet coming into effect. So that's going to happen still from next year into the next one. And like everything, we're trying to start early and the earlier it is, the less people care about it because it's not a burning fireball in their hands. I think that the risks of happening, not bringing a table to the data or not bringing it into the data operation space is there. I think that we have learned a lot, or these colleagues in the GDPR space have learned a lot about the processes for triggering assessments, for triggering reviews of activities, and at least put a recommendation forward or do some sort of adjustments so that we meet the GDPR requirements. And I think that we can sort of like find a way to leverage those processes to also make them aligned with the EU AI Act requirements and also with our data governance requirements. I think it's kind of bringing all of that together. That's where I would put my energy right now.
Yeah. So you're trying to be ahead of the game, essentially.
As much as possible, yeah. As much as
well, you also have the advantage of seeing some of the history. Because what I remember from your slides is that you started with the self-service BI. I think many of you have seen similar histories, right? With self-service BI, everybody could make reports, and as a consequence, you get proliferation of reports. So now you don't know which report to trust anymore, right? So that was a governance driver. Big data was a governance driver, right?
Yeah.
The Hadoop, I call it the puberty phase of data management.
Yeah.
The Hadoop era, which also give rise to the data scientists and the data engineers, as you said.
Correct.
And then GDPR, privacy, trying to come with a big stick, trying to make companies do the right thing. And then you are adding GenAI now to the mix as a carrot.
Yeah.
So how do you see governance evolve? Do you think that Super Toby is going to be the data avenger and do our data work for us?
I see it evolving. So my main recommendation would be to never fall too much in love with your own framework on standard. Yeah, we need to be able to be flexible. Data governance people have to be flexible, both for working with the business areas and for setting up our ways of working and to react to our ever-changing environment. I think that the way that data governance needs to evolve is to bring all of these aspects together, get the best quality of each area. So in the case of Vodafone, that's the thing. Yeah, the privacy guys are experts on processes. They know that anything, they have been so adamant about checking for how we process personal data that everyone in the company, when they are about to do anything that may have personal data, they call privacy, which is great. They got there. Now I think that we can use that space or that interest in data management to also leverage the things that are not strictly what GDPR is going to fine you for. That would be, I think, the way it evolves, bringing the best of each area together.
Got it. And that bit is also hard, bringing teams together, because I tried to do that inside of Collibra in our own data office early on as well. We have a data scientist, and I tried to explain to them, look, you're building a data product, but immediately go work with Mandy. Mandy is our privacy lawyer internally. And that way, you start building a data product with privacy or security immediately involved, right? And you might have to learn to work with those people a little bit because, to your point, they very much look at the world as risk. Oh, data, maybe you shouldn't do it. But imagine that you're spending all this time building a data product, a dashboard, a model, a warehouse, a lake, whatever. It takes you 6 months or a year to do it. And then you go ask the privacy person. You're just risking that all of your work has been for naught because you could have asked them from the beginning if this was a good idea. And yes, you do need to work with them a little bit.
Yeah, early on. Yeah.
You need to make them understand, what is the risk and do that together.
Exactly.
Maybe before we open it up to the floor, last question for you, Fede. If you would give any advice to your 10 years ago self, 20 years ago self, somebody who's maybe just finishing school or entering the data world, what would you give them as advice? I
think it's a little bit on this point of flexibility. Yeah. What I would say is that understand that because, as I was saying just now, data governance does not follow a rock-solid standard that has to be the same everywhere. That's why we have data governance managers, because it needs to adapt to the shape and the ways of working of any company. And what I've seen is that leads to the data governance team or the position of the data governance manager sitting pretty much anywhere in the company. Like myself, within the Vodafone space, I report into finance. Like my boss is the CFO. I know people where data governance reports into technology, where it reports into some sort of operations function. Sometimes it even is within the business areas, within like the customer value management, maybe. I'd say leverage the community, yeah, learn a lot about how other people are doing data governance, because that helps you know that you're not going crazy, that other people are kind of having the same challenges as you. And that's I think the number one icebreaker question. If you meet with another data governance manager is, where is your team? Where is your team in the company? And I can assure you that you're going to have different situations between you and your colleague. And that's a way to start the conversation. Yeah, thank you.
Any questions from the audience?
We have, I think,
Fede or myself?
4 minutes left for one or two.
Don't be scared.
Yeah, we have one over here.
There we go. Yeah, I'll come close.
Oh, this is amazing. He's getting a...
So, if...
I'll repeat it.
Okay, yeah. If Super Toby was in a Data Avengers movie, what would his powers be?
Okay. Hey, it's for you. I think the question is for you. If Super Toby were in the Avengers movie, what would their superpower be?
Oh my God, that's a very good one. I think it's providing well-rounded answers to the customer. No, I think jumping. I see it as a sort of like mini future skip view, like knowing what's right around the corner. That's what I like. The idea of, if you know what's going on well enough, you know what's just about to happen, and therefore you can solve an issue right before it becomes a problem. That's the best that I can manage. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Better than the Data Hulk.
Yeah.
More questions? Thank you, by the way. No, out there, all the way in the back. I'm coming.
Last one, I think, and then we run. I love this sort of Chinese whisper type of...
No? Ah, you had a question, yes.
Yeah. How do you look at adoption of data governance when business or the teams want to bring the value? Because data governance is a slow process, right?
Yeah.
So how do you set governance to them? The business and
Yeah. So, Fede, the question is about adoption of data governance. People want to, people want to get results yesterday, right? Your boss wants the report yesterday. Why didn't you make it yet? So they're in a hurry always when it comes to asking questions about data. So how do you sell the idea of data governance, which maybe even makes it harder to deliver it yesterday?
Yes. So is it kind of, sorry, like I think we see a lot of this decision between putting out the fire today and doing something more meaningful that can last longer in time, right? That's kind of what I'm getting. I think that, again, flexibility. We need to be able to find a balance. We need to be mindful of the problem that is burning on people's hands today and find a way to solve that. In the best case scenario, that can help as well to to set a precedent, to set a success case that we can then use to scale. I think that it's hard, yeah, to manage adoption in that way. I see it a lot, but what I would say is that don't get too hung up on the long-term plan of adoption. Look for those quick wins and little things that we can do to make a good case, make a good name for data governance, and then expand from there. And I think we are done. Thank you very much
Yes.
for your question.
Okay.